Hey friends, I am back. I um I realized after I made the elderberry syrup video that there are like no elderberries anywhere for sale for a reasonable price. I guess elderberry is all the rage this year or something and it's all been bought out. But anyway, and you could spend, $50 for a pound of elderberries on Amazon, and actually it's worth your money. I would have to say, like, it's way cheaper to do that than to buy the elderberry syrup off the shelf at the vitamin shop or wherever. However, it's still really expensive. I mean, that's an upfront investment right there. So I wanted to give you some other options, some different things that I like to use to support our bodies during cold season, flu season, all of the winter. Um, so, so fermented foods is one thing. This is super simple. This is homemade sauerkraut. Super cheap, super simple. Get a head of cabbage, shred it up or chop it up pretty evenly. Put it in a bowl, sprinkle it with some salt, mix it up. Keep adding salt and mixing until you taste it and it's like salty but not overpowerfully salty. Like salty where you're like, that's a little salty, but not like, ew, that is so salty. You know what I mean? So you mix it like that. You put it in, you can put it in a crock like this. You can put it in just a little, I did a little jar here too. And the funky bag thing is something the thing that I looked up to refresh my memory and how to make it this time said you can put like a little Ziploc baggie in the top with you can just put water in that to kind of fill in that last airspace, which brings me to my next point. That's kind of the most important thing about fermenting your own stuff at home. This is an anaerobic fermentation process. You can read about it online. There's tons of tutorials how to make homemade sauerkraut. I suggest that you read at least one or two of them before you start making it, just so you kind of have a good grasp on how this is going to work. But basically, an anaerobic fermentation process is, you don't want to have oxygen in your jar. You want these bacteria that are lacto-fermenting your food thrive without oxygen. Now, there's a lot of bad bacteria that thrives without oxygen too, hence the salt. The salt keeps the bad bacteria at bay and allows the good bacteria to thrive. So, you put this, I'm going to open this up. Hopefully it won't explode. Okay, there we go. It's been a little explosive lately. So in the top here, I saved a whole leaf and I put the whole leaf on top of the cabbage just to keep everything under the brine. So you see the brine? Okay, so when you mix that cabbage in your bowl, then you're mixing it and you're going to let it sit maybe 45 minutes until you've got some juice, some cabbage juice there. Then you've got your baggie with your water, and then you want to close your jar. And you might have to let air escape every day or even twice a day, and the juice might seep out, but you can read all about that. Anyway, this is a great thing to help help your gut be healthier, which if your gut's healthy, it helps your immune system be healthy because your gut actually houses like, is it 90% of your immune system or something? It's a lot. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot. So probiotics, this is a probiotic food, fermented cabbage. And actually, I like it a lot better than like the store-bought canned stuff because it basically tastes like kind of salty cabbage. And when it's finished, it's got a little bit of a tangy flavor depending on how long you let it go. I usually let mine go maybe 3 or 4 days. And it's just got a really pleasant, tangy, salty flavor. And I love it. So a little bit of that every day is a great, cheap way to keep your body healthy. Bone broth is another thing. I've got some bone broth over here. Excuse my messy kitchen. But I've got some bone broth here. I did beef bones. This is just some broth I had saved, and I put some turmeric, some ginger, salt, and pepper in here. And it gives it a nice flavor. Turmeric and ginger are really warming herbs, pepper too, which just help your body when you have a cold or something like that, you want something warming. You can actually feel your chest congestion kind of like releasing, or if you have a head cold, you can kind of feel it easing off just by drinking a warm drink like bone broth with warming herbs in it. Even drinking hot tea, which is the next thing I'm going to show you, is a great way to just open up your airways, open up your congestion and everything if you're dealing with a cold. So hot tea is a great thing. This is that liver tea I made the other day. I did a video on that. And you know, you just put it in a jar. Well, you put your herbs in the strainer and you pour the hot water into the jar and you fill it all the way up. You put your lid on while it steeps. Steep it for at least 10 minutes and you've got a great tea for when you need it. And you can make it by the gallon and put it in the fridge if you want. I just feel like when it's warm, it's especially helpful in the winter months. But during the summer, if you need a boost, you can put it in the fridge and it's very, very refreshing. Okay, and then of course I got my elderberry syrup here just because I'm going to talk about that later. Colloidal silver is a great choice. I get mine from a friend who makes it herself because you can actually get kits to make it and then you can make it super cheap once you pay for your kit. But you can also buy it online. I used to get Sovereign Silver, which is a really good brand off of Amazon. I mean, it kind of feels a little expensive buying that by the bottle. I used to buy it in like quart-sized bottles, and that was okay, but I mean, we go through it with our family of 7. So when one of us gets sick, I give everybody a teaspoon of silver every day until everyone's better. But what I really like to do is mix my silver and my elderberry syrup and something else I want to show you today. Olive leaf tincture or extract, which is really, really powerful for viruses, bacterial infections, microbial infections. Like it covers like everything. So olive leaf is just, it's super powerful herb. You can actually make it into a tea, but it is very bitter. So a lot of people might struggle to actually drink the tea. So I put it in a tincture form because really all you need per day, like you need a teaspoon max. Like if you're really sick, take a teaspoon. But this, just, can you see that? Okay, a dropper. It's just a tiny bit. I mean, I think it said 1 milliliter is a dose if you want to just kind of take it for prevention or whatever, up to 5 milliliters 3 times a day, which would be 1 teaspoon 3 times a day. So a little bit of olive leaf extract goes a long, long way. I really like making my olive leaf extract with glycerin, which I'm actually going to do today. And I'm going to post in the bottom here some links just to where I bought I bought like a 5-gallon container of glycerin last year because I think I ran out and I was so sick of running out of the little quart containers I was buying or the gallons I was buying. I was just like, I'm just going to get 5 gallons. So anyway, I've got a lot of glycerin at the moment. But I only have a little bit of olive leaf. I think it was really hard to find at the time I bought it. But still, it's plenty. It'll go a long way because when you're making olive leaf extract, you just need, it's a 1-to-5 ratio. So 1/5 of a jar of olive leaf. And then I'm going to fill this up the rest of the way with glycerin. And that is going to be my extract. Now, I'm going to need to keep this in a dark place for 4 to 6 weeks and wait for it to actually extract all the goodness from the olive leaves. But, and I really should have done this probably 6 weeks ago, but just, it's something y'all can do. It's actually really cheap. I was looking at the prices because I always felt like olive leaves were expensive and glycerin was expensive. But when I look at the prices and I figure out, this is a quart. This is going to be a quart of extract. And that's going to go a long way. Usually you buy it in little bottles, 2-ounce bottles. I think this might be a 4-ounce bottle. Anyway, you buy it in, let me check. Yeah, but this is a 2-ounce bottle. So usually you buy it in a 2-ounce bottle. Now that goes a pretty long way, but think about it. You could make your own. I think this cost me $4, maybe. And you can buy a bottle of this for 2 ounces for $10 online. So it's a really good thing to make your own. You really get a lot of bang for your buck. And yeah, so anyway, remember, if you make any kind of extract or tincture, you can also make this with vodka, which maybe is a little easier to just find than glycerin. I find it's extremely bitter when I make olive leaf tincture with vodka, but I did make my last batch with it probably because I ran out of glycerin. But what I do is I take this olive leaf and I mix it in my little medicine cup there, and then I put in my little dose of colloidal silver, and then I just fill it up with my elderberry syrup, which is going to be way too messy to pour with one hand. So I would just fill up my cup, because the dose of elderberry syrup is a tablespoon for an adult, so I'll just fill that up, and then that's my drink. So it doesn't taste quite so bad if you mix it with elderberry syrup, but it's pretty gross to take on its own if it's mixed with vodka. However, if it's mixed with glycerin, that sweet glycerin really offsets the bitter herb of the olive leaf, which may or may not be amazing medicinally, but it's amazing for kids because they actually want to take it then. So, that's your option. One way to keep this dark without putting it in a cupboard or somewhere that you'll forget about it is to just put a sock on it. Like literally grab an old sock and put it around your jar. My friend does that with the silver, and I was like, that's brilliant. So you want to shake this up really well, once or twice a day for your 6 weeks. You can just keep it on the counter if you've got a sock on it. Woo! Okay, try not to break anything here. Okay, one last thing, sage honey, which I already did a video about how to make sage honey, but sage honey is a great thing to have on hand for sore throats. Any kind of like herbal tea, herbal honey. Herbs are so powerful, you guys. If you can just pick one herb to learn about every few months or every year, and just use that herb to its potential, you will have a healthier life. Use it in cooking, use it in teas, use it in your to like infuse your honey, use it to infuse your oils, use it to infuse your vodka, use it to infuse your glycerin, and you're gonna really improve your life. So I hope this helps somebody, and take care. Have a healthy winter.